Mani. That's right, I heard anteater in the crowd. That's exactly correct. A lesser anteater, also known as a tamandua.
Sorry, I had to unplug.
Now, Mani here, as we mentioned, is an anteater or an insectivore. Have you guys heard of that word before? What about carnivore? What does a carnivore eat? Over here. That's right, a carnivore eats meat. And what about an herbivore? Yes.
Someone who eats.
Oh, scary!
Oh, an omnivore eats meat
Scary.
and veggies. And an herbivore eats plants, right? And an insectivore eats insects. So everything about Mani is adapted to eat insects. That's his whole job. Now, a funny comedian once said, Mitch Hedberg, he said, rice is delicious if you're really hungry and you want to eat 2,000 of something. And Mani takes his dieting to the extreme and can eat 9,000 insects in one day. How incredible is that? And he's showing off how he uses that snout. Notice he had a long snout. You can see his little cheeks moving. He's holding on with those claws. If this were a real termite mound or an anthill, they would use those sharp claws to break through bark and different materials. That way they can find the insects. And it's interesting. Who here thinks that Mani can bite? Anybody? Good, you guys are smart. You didn't fall for the trick question there. Mani actually can only open his mouth about the size of a pencil, the tip of your finger there. Very tiny. And he lets out that long, sticky tongue to slurp up all the insects, like he's doing now. Can you guys see that long tongue? Any guesses on how long it is? Over here?
5 feet.
5 feet, that's a really good guess. It's about, if you're looking at an adult, the size from your elbow to the tip of your hand, maybe 16 inches, the same as a giraffe, so super long. Now, he's called a lesser anteater, not because he's any less, it's because there is a greater anteater who spends most of its time on the floor. Now, Mani is a lesser anteater, he's smaller, but also you might notice this big long tail behind him, right? It is prehensile, and the word prehensile means to grab. So he's showing off those tree climbing skills. Lesser anteaters or tamanduas are arboreal. They like to live in the trees, and they use that tail that looks a lot like a possum.
Sorry, you need a better cameraman.
And it grabs on, kind of like having some extra arms to hold on. Wouldn't that be nice as adults if we had one extra limb to carry all the groceries inside? Very useful. So he uses that tail to balance and hold on. Oh, he's really showing off his abilities there. Now, Mani doesn't have any sharp teeth, but he sure has sharp claws, right? Do you guys notice the claws in the back feet?
That tail.
And notice how when he's balancing there, can rotate them 180, so he can do that upside down dangling behavior. Let's see if we can see it again. Why don't you show off for us? Well done. Look, he can put his feet almost completely backwards as he claws down. Now those front claws, you might notice as he's coming forward, that kind of walks with his hands on the sides here. That's because he has really nice nails, got them done at the salon, and doesn't want to break any of them. So he likes to keep those claws sharp so he doesn't scrape them against the ground. It keeps them nice and long. So this kind of walks on his sides there with rotated. Yummy, yeah.
Guess you forgot a couple last time.
Now, tamanduas live in South America in the forest. Sometimes you can find different species in Costa Rica as well. And they are really essential to the ecosystem with insect population control. Make sure all those bugs don't get out of control out there. Now, what's beautiful in the wild, tamanduas, as they go along on tree branches or they come across different colonies, they don't destroy the whole colony or eat everything. They graze, eat a little bit, then keep moving on. So they're even responsible consumers out in the wild as well. We can learn a lot from tamanduas. Now, what else do we notice the features? What color is Mani here? Yes.
White.
Yeah, he's kind of like a white. You might see a little bit of black in his vest area and the shoulders. So you might
Look
see
at that
different
elevator
tamanduas
use
that
of
have
his
different
tail and
coloring,
feet.
might be darker or lighter around here, and that's all genetic traits. But speaking of genetic traits, Mani has a dating profile. Little something we call the Species
How easy he
Survival Plan, or
climbs.
the SSP. And before he came out visiting today, he has some success. Oh, yay! Mani!
Scary.
Mani is happy
Scary.
because he has a girlfriend now. So hopefully, oh, look at that up behavior.
Scary.
So hopefully he'll be a father soon. Now, we'll see. Now, in the wild, I know it looks really cute when they get on their hind legs and spread their arms out, but believe it or not, that's an intimidation tactic. So if a predator comes across him, or maybe a competing male, or maybe a female who doesn't want any attention from a male suitor, they'll use that back tail to balance so they can stand up on their hind legs, and they'll spread their arms out wide like he just showed us to make himself appear bigger and have those claws ready in case he needs to pinch. So very sharp claws that I mentioned earlier are great defense and actually can break some skin and do some major damage. That's why they're nice and long. If you can break through bark with your bare hands, then you can definitely do some damage against a predator. But living in the trees is also a great defense as well. Now, Mani is about 5 years old, and that's actually about their life expectancy in the wild. But Mani has free health care, home board, and a doctor on call at
Trying
any
to dig
moment.
into the
So
fake
under
rock.
human care, they can live about 19 years. And if he is successful
He's like,
in
"Oh,
his
that's where the treat's
fatherhood, gestation takes maybe about 150 days or about 3 months. Now, I've talked a lot about Mani. Is there any questions in the audience? Anything about his life in the wild? Yes, over here. He does eat bugs. Yeah, that's a great way to get. You notice he's kind of following along wherever the bugs are. That's what he would do in the wild. Did I see another hand over here?
So when you first came out, you said that he might stink. Why is that?
Oh, yes. I mentioned earlier he gets really big for his self-defense, correct? Thank you. He was asking about how I said that the stinkers of the forest, they can actually spray a bad scent just like a skunk. So sometimes if we walk by, we go, woo-hoo-hoo. It must have gotten a little worked up and sprayed. Those stinky smells definitely keep predators away. Look at him go! He's got that long tongue in the tube there. He can reach all the way to the bottom. Also, you guys feel free to come closer if you'd like to take some pictures as Mani's showing off his abilities. Any other questions? Yeah, over here.
It seems like Mani is clicker trained.
Yes, he is click trained. Yes.
About how long does it take for an animal like an anteater to be acclimated to that?
That's a really good question. He was asking how long did it take us to train Mani to follow us along and do the clicker. So the clicker is actually what we refer to as a bridge. So he's motivated. We want to train all of our animals in cooperative care. We don't want them just to do tricks. It's kind of, we want them to have choice and control and feel comfortable. So if we offer something they like insects, as an insectivore, he's more likely to come and follow. Now, his vision isn't the strongest, so sounds are really good, so sometimes we'll use tapping as well. But really, we're having him follow along, and then the clicker serves as an ability to say, correct, what you just did is right, and you're about to get a reward soon. So it kind of bridges the, you did what I asked for, and here is reinforcement or a treat. Especially because if you're grabbing the treat, it might take a minute. You ever see a dog or a cat, right, get all worked up, like, when am I going to get the treat? Did I do it right? So it helps them in their brain, since they don't speak English like us, they don't have our language. It helps communicate to them, you did what I asked and something good is about to happen. And as far as how long that takes,
figure out how to back
Well,
up
it
there.
depends on each species. What would your guess be, Shane?
I mean, they started him pretty early with it.
That's a good point. He was also born here. Really special thing about Mani is he was the first Tamandua baby to be born in almost 40 years here at the zoo. So it was really historical when he was born. And we did a little cooperative care with his mom. I mean, mother's always best, but we also were more hands-on, so the training wasn't such a foreign concept since we started him since basically birth interacting with humans. And that's part of that species survival plan. You know, back zoos, we were first getting started, they had a tendency to take from the wild. We kind of have developed and grown in our mindset and act more as species rescue or survival to help ensure species that might be on the verge of extinction breed with and we have relationships with the other zoos. As I mentioned, the species survival plan, all the animals on it are part of accredited zoos, and so we can swipe right and be like, oh, we found a match for you in Phoenix Zoo, so come. And then curators and people above my pay grade will go and move the animals, especially males, around for breeding purposes as a kind of an insurance population in case they struggle in the wild. And there have been successful reintroductions as well from our organizations back into the wild. That was a really good question, thanks.
It's Mani.
Well, thank you guys for coming out and visiting Mani today. We're going to wrap up his training, but we're still going to be on this stage, so feel free to approach and ask any other questions you might have and get pictures. Thank you, and make sure to visit our other presentation over at Wegafirth Bowl at 2 p.m. too. There's another great
That's the Wildlife
presentation.
Explorer Base Camp.
Thank you guys for being allies for
Presentation at 1
wildlife
o'clock.
and visiting today. Bye-bye.
The San Diego Zoo. I'm going to head off to. Bye, guys.
After the 2 o'clock show.
San Diego
Otherwise,
Zoo.
We have to end it early.